Solo Oil is busy with production in Tanzania, Horse Hill and future plans in the UK to progress in the Isle of Wight. So I'm now joined by the CEO of the company, Neil Ritson, to talk all of these plans through. Hi Neil, thank you for coming into the studio. Morning. Good morning to you. Now first of all, tell me, where are you at in terms of production?
Right, the production in Tanzania comes from Kilawani North, which is a single well field which is producing. We've been producing relatively small amounts of gas through the commissioning of a new gas plant. So important that you can treat the gas from the well and then export it to the market. And that commissioning is more or less finished now. It has gradually ramped up, and so production now is somewhere around about 20 million standard cubic feet a day, which is the equivalent of about 4,000 barrels a day. And that's going to continue. The minimum take for the plant is around 20, and we would expect that to continue into the future. It may be a bit higher than that. We're going to do some tests, but that's the sort of level that we're looking at. And that's very encouraging. That's what we invested in the project, believing that it would do at least 20. Now, it may do a bit more, and I recently heard they're producing a little bit of fluids as well, oil, not water, something you can actually sell. So that's also encouraging.
Mm-hmm. And something that's really exciting is your domestic procedures going on.
Yeah, well, Horse Hill was a discovery, which was very encouraging in the first instance. The tests were exceptional. We produced a lot more from the Kimmeridge limestone than anybody expected, including us. I mean, way above our expectations. And then even in the Portland sandstone, which was the original discovery we were chasing, we produced the highest rate that had been seen in an exploration well for a long time. So the aggregate rate was over 1,500 barrels a day, which onshore in the UK, of course, is extremely exciting. So what they're doing now there is they're planning for the next phase, some longer term tests to establish how they should develop the field as opposed to just proving that it's there. So we've got the proof of concept, now we've got to design a program for producing it. And that'll take a little bit of time because we have to go back into the formal planning process with the local authority for that next phase.
And do you have competitors then, presumably, for that?
Well, the Horse Hill group is a special group formed to drill that well. There's been some changes of interest amongst the group members. The leading light there is UK Oil and Gas, and they are what I would call a UK player. They're here for the long term. Solo invested in the opportunity to prove the concept, and then we were thinking about, well, what's the next thing that we do in the UK? And of course, you mentioned the Isle of Wight. We've just been issued the license for that with UK Oil and Gas as our operator again. So that's to follow up a discovery that's already been made there many years ago in the 1970s called Ritson 2, and we'll have to see what the program eventually is, but it'll probably be some kind of re-drill or recompletion of that well. Again, establish the test flow rates, design and development.
Mm-hmm. And how lucrative do you imagine that will be?
Well, it's going to depend on oil price, of course. At the current price,
once again.
Yeah, at the current price, it still looks all economic. Yeah, you're onshore. The costs of development are very low. We have a ready market, of course. In the vicinity, there are refineries close by. Even the test production from Horse Hill was sold directly into a refinery. So we're not unduly stressed by the oil price, but of course we'd like to see it a bit higher.
Mm-hmm. So you can still survive, can you, at $40 a barrel?
These projects can, yes. Now in Tanzania, we're producing gas. That's a fixed price with the Tanzanian government, and we're not subject to the volatilities of the market on that. It's a lot easier to plan. And of course the next phase for us there in Tanzania is our other project, Rovuma. Where we made the Notoria gas discovery. Now, Notoria is a lot bigger than Kilawani, but it needs appraisal. And that's going to kick off. We put an announcement out yesterday that they've started the site preparation there. We've extended the concessions as well with the Tanzanians so that we have the running room we need to do that appraisal and find out how much is there. But we already know it's bigger than Kilawani. The question is how much bigger.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. And geographically, is there anywhere else that you're discovering just now?
At the moment, we're looking at a number of things around the world. One of the things about Solo being a portfolio investor is we like diversity. So we like to be in different markets. So gas in Tanzania, oil in the UK. We have a project in Canada. It's on hold at the moment. We're in West Africa with some seed investments. And we're looking at other things both in Europe and Africa at the moment. We've even taken a look at the US. There's a lot of opportunities coming up in the US where people are selling out from some of the maybe less attractive production, but if you can find a way to unlock the code, you can get into that. So we're looking around. We would like to see our share price, our equity value a bit higher before we start trading. But everybody's down. So at the moment, we're just looking at opportunities. There's a lot out there, and we can go anywhere geographically if there's a good operator.
I was going to ask you about the pricing and the share price. So how do you imagine that will develop in the next year?
I mean, if I had a crystal ball, life would get a lot simpler. It should be higher than it is today. We're taking revenue. We expect to get the first revenue check from Tanzania in the next day or so. We know it's been cut. We just need to see it in the bank account, and that's a big change for us. We'll actually be revenue taking rather than investment, and that will continue. That will grow. As I say, we're producing 3,000 or 4,000 barrels a day. Our share of that is quite an attractive revenue stream. So things will start to level out for that, and funding will follow. What will the share price be? Well, it's the sentiment of the market as much as anything else. Should be higher than where it is today.
Yeah, that's the driving force, isn't it? The sentiment. All right, that's Neil Ritson. Thank you very much indeed, talking to us today from Solo Oil.